Detangling can be pretty stressful, but it doesn't have to be. To start, let's set an environment that relaxes us and raises our vibration. I like to light a candle and put on my favorite album or comfort TV show. And as you can see, my hair is in twists to begin, and that's because my very first tip for making your detangling easy is by trying to minimize tangles in the first place. So a week prior to my wash day, I twisted up an old wash and go that had hit day 5 because I know that that's my limit for when tangles start to get out of control. And now, 7 days later, my hair is stretched and tangles have been minimized. Also, I had no intention of keeping the twist in that long, but life be lifing, girl. You know how it is. So next we're going to cleanse the hair, and starting off with clean hair makes detangling so much easier because your conditioner is able to penetrate your hair and really offer slip. Detangling on co-washed hair or just rinsed hair is going to make it more difficult because you have product buildup. You may be wondering when you should detangle your hair, and it really depends on when your hair starts to become tangled at the roots or throughout the length, and also it depends on the style that you're wearing. For me, it takes about 5 days when my hair is out before it starts to get tangled, and about 2 weeks when it's in twists. So I set my schedule and then detangle as close to those days as possible. Here are the detangling tools that we're going to be using today. I'm using this Felicia Leatherwood detangling brush because it literally cut my detangling down when I was just finger detangling from 6 to 8 hours to 45 minutes to 2 hours. And it really is worth it. It's a very gentle brush if you know how to use it properly, and I'm going to show you that today. I also have some shears because you never want to break the hair off. Always cut hair out if you can't get it detangled. I also included this mirror. I didn't think about it until the end of the video, but it really makes my detangling easier. Length retention is my #1 priority when detangling my hair. So first I start with a super slippery conditioner, and then I go ahead and section my hair in a way that it wants to be sectioned. I don't force parts, I let my hair do her thing. When I detangle, I never just go straight in with the brush. I always finger detangle first by just pulling the hair apart. And I have a method to this I'm going to show a little later. But then we're going to take our brush and make sure that when we're detangling, we're using it in a vertical direction. And then once we're ready to smooth the hair, we're using it in a horizontal direction. And it does truly make a difference. So first we're going to start with detangling at the ends, working our way slowly up the hair. And once we get to a point where the hair is pretty much detangled, I'm going to smooth the hair out and use the horizontal motion to also pull shed hairs out from the root. And you saw that right there, that resistance, that's because my hair wasn't fully detangled and I was using the smoothing motion, and so it caused some friction there. If you're someone who feels like their hair doesn't get fully detangled when they're just using their fingers or a wide tooth comb, I do recommend trying a brush but being very, very gentle with it and making sure that you have a conditioner that's very slippery. And I would define slip as a conditioner or product that sinks super easily into your hair and allows your hair strands to slide past each other easily without catching, without causing tangles, and without causing knots. That way you can manipulate the hair easily without breakage. If you're looking for a conditioner that has a ton of slip, here are the best ones that I found so far. This Giovanni Smooth as Silk Deeper Moisture Conditioner is great if you're in a pinch and need something quick. The Mael Mungango Oil Conditioner is very thick and rich and creamy but penetrates super easily. The Curl Origin Double Moisture Mask doubles as an amazing slippery conditioner. The tangles basically fall out. And lastly, the Nexus Curl Define Conditioner has silicones but offers crazy slip. And we're going to talk about silicones a little later. Jumping back into the detangling process, the hair at the roots for me naturally mat, so I have to do a little extra finger detangling in those areas just to break apart the tangles and make the hair more pliable so that I can apply the brush to my hair. Here you see me applying a lot of different techniques just to kind of get the brush through in a way that doesn't break the hair. Make sure you're listening to your hair and not being too aggressive with this, and that's how you use a brush without hurting your hair. Also, whenever I need to, I go back in and finger detangle just to get any shed hair or any knots that I feel out from the roots, and then follow that up with my brush. So my biggest section of, girl, right here, This right here, girl. When I finger detangle, I always pull downward. You'll see here, instead of just breaking it apart like horizontally, because just ripping the hair apart will usually make it seize up on itself, which just results in even more tangles. And usually the reason why the hair is tangled to begin with is because of like one or two small strands that you just need to remove from the clump of hair so that the rest of the tangles can release. So here I'm just taking my time. This is my densest area, like where my mats happen and where a lot of my tangles happen no matter what I do. So I'm really using the mirror and just slowly working through that section in a way that kind of aerates the hair. Again, just making it a little bit more pliable little by little over time so that the shed hair can be released, and then I can brush through without any resistance, tangles, matting, or knots. You see me taking deep cleansing breaths here to fortify my mind and just calm my nerves, because it really stresses me out when my hair is tangled like this. But my priority, like I said earlier, is length retention. So I take my time and have soft hands to minimize any breakage, because that does not result in length retention. So here I'm going to pull downward with one hand and pull up with the other to get this shed hair out of this clump. And that's what I mean by finger detangling gently and not just ripping the hair apart horizontally. But we're coming to the home stretch, and it's always such a good feeling when you can just let the brush glide through with absolutely no resistance. Okay, back to using products with silicones to detangle. If you're in a tight spot where your hair is really matted or tangled, let's say you went way past your regular detangling date, or you're taking out a protective style and just have a lot more tangles than usual, using a product with silicones to detangle can be really helpful, because silicones can offer a lot of slip. However, it's not necessary, because all the conditioners that I recommended, except for the one, don't have silicones and have crazy slip. But if you would like to use silicones, you can. You just have to make sure you clarify your hair, or else the silicones will begin to build up on your hair, create a barrier so that moisture can't penetrate, and your hair will get dry, your products won't work the same, and it'll be a mess, girl. Also, someone asked if they should ever detangle dry. And as you just saw me dip my hair into the water with my conditioner, that's what creates the most slip, water and conditioner. If you're like me and experience matting in your roots on a consistent basis, know that there's really nothing that you can do to completely prevent it, but you can do things to work around it, okay? So for instance, wearing styles that minimize tangles from the beginning are very important. I only wear wash and goes about once a month for about 5 days tops, 7 days tops if I'm being honest. But I don't let my hair get to a point where like it's just a matted ball. Taking your time to really feel your way through the mats, slowly breaking them apart, and then once your hair is detangled, doing protein treatments in the areas that experience mats the most will help strengthen them to stand up to the physical manipulation and somewhat abuse that part of your hair is going to take, just because of the natural way that it mats up or gets knots at the roots. Lastly, should you ever detangle hair when it's dry? And that really depends on if you're able to do that without experiencing breakage. So for fine strands, when your hair is curly and dry, I absolutely would not recommend detangling your hair. But if it's stretched and dry and you have some extensive tangles, you definitely want to work through those a little bit first before getting into the shower, because water can actually lock your hair when it's excessively tangled. And if you have medium or thick strands that can withstand being detangled dry, by all means do what works best for your hair. But that is the end of this video. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to leave them down in the comments and I will get to as many as I can. I hope that this was helpful, and I will see you all in another video. Bye.